What's up, guys? David Land here, bringing you the third race of the 1962 season of Indianapolis 500 Evolution. We are going to the Milwaukee Mile, a track that in this Let's Play I have been undefeated at. I won both the Milwaukee 100 and the Milwaukee 200 in 1961 on my way to the National Championship. The 1962 season, however, has been much more difficult. Two very, very unfortunate finishes at both Trenton and then a DNF at Milwaukee, or at Indianapolis rather, for the 500 has really put my season on the back foot. So I went to, did some practice. You see practice, I call that testing or practice or whatever you want to call it. But I did some serious testing at Milwaukee. I'm capable of 117 mile-an-hour laps, which I believe is more than fast enough to be able to dominate this race, and I'm hoping I'll be able to do that. I haven't scored a championship point yet in this series, so if I want to have any hope of approaching Parnelli Jones, who is undefeated in this season, winning both at Trenton and Indianapolis, I'm going to have to start scoring points. I'm going to have to start scoring points big. So let's get to Milwaukee and let's get qualified. So let's see what Bobby Grimm has here at the very beginning of qualifying here. He's in the 116s, and Parnelli and Roger Ward are going to be the two difficult cars. We're going to see what they're capable of. This is going to be a real good indication here. Parnelli's only at a 114, which is it's fairly confidence building. Ward is at a 115. Templeman, who we actually battled with at the 500, goes to the pole. And so we're going to go out. I believe 22 cars always show up at Milwaukee. So pretty difficult grid. All we've got to do is beat a 116.6 and we should be on the pole. So let's get to it. So it's pretty simple. This is a sprint race, so qualifying is much more important than it otherwise would be, like, say, for the Milwaukee 200. But the Milwaukee 100, this is going to be a big-time thing here for me to get this right. I should be able to. I'm feeling fairly confident. Let's get to it. If I could remember to shift up into fourth, that would be beneficial. I experimented with different lines during testing. I tried the old point and squirt diamonding off the corner, but I found the best way to do this is go right around the bottom of the circuit, brake, that's not very good, downshift. I'm kind of doing a diamond here, and then just kind of have confidence in the car that it won't understeer too much. The 1962 gearbox has pretty good drivability, actually. I actually feel much more confident in the car than I did in the 1961 season. Getting it through the corner, it feels much more stable, but it's a little bit understeery if you don't have the right line through the corner. So there we go, already a 116 on the warm-up, so that's where we need to be. Though that's not a pole position time yet. And that was wall contact, and I can see it damaged the car. That's not going well there. This is important for me to get on the pole here. It really is. So this is probably not going to be a very good lap.
It's the final
116.1, so I'm going to have to step it up here on the final lap. Through turn number 1 and 2. If I could touch that apron there, it'd help the car get turned, but I didn't quite get the apron touch there. Down the back straightaway into fourth gear, down the into turn number 3. Lift off, back end slides out just a little bit, car slides, and get out of the groove. I'm out of the groove, I'm out of the groove. Oh, that was terrible. That was really terrible. Yep. Well, it could have been worse. My 116 wasn't quite where I needed it to be, but thankfully no one else out-qualified me, so I'll roll off second behind Templeman, who is turning into quite the threat. Let's take a look at the full grid here. Grimm, Ward, Branson, Foyt. Parnelli starting in 8th, so he's already on the cutting edge of where the points table gives up. And then, of course, we've got Thomas Mills there, who's 10 miles an hour off the qualifying pace. So we'll probably lap him at least once during this race. As you can see, the top of the grid is very close. I'm not too convinced that starting on the outside is going to be very beneficial. We're just going to have to see. This is going to be a tighter race than I was kind of hoping it would be, but I'm going to try to get some good points and hope that Parnelli does not. So let's head to Milwaukee.
We are at the Milwaukee Mile, the oldest speedway in the world, with auto racing taking place here since 1903. The grandstands offer great views of the track, and the 1 mile course offers great driving for the competitors.
So here we are at Milwaukee for the Milwaukee 100. This is going to be a battle. There's the field gridding up behind me and Templeman, very close. We were on the start there. We got to be very careful on the start not to get out of shape. Thankfully, again, this is a sprint race. Unlike Indianapolis, we won't have to worry about tire or fuel wear. Already to the inside of Templeman. Hopefully we can get him here into turn number 3. Brake, brake, brake. Oh, I'm lifting off the gas now. Get this thing turned here. And we cleared Templeman. That was fantastic. Exactly what we needed to do. Exactly what we needed to do. Now we need to start building a gap here. Lift and brake into turn 1. Easy does it. Downshift. Car is all over the place, unfortunately. I felt like I had a lot more stability in testing. But of course, testing is testing for a reason. It's not the race. Okay, so into turn number 3. Still unstable into the corner. Got to find some stability here. But we are pulling away. Now we're up to 0.8 ahead of Templeman. So I've just got to put in, 20 more clean laps or so. I don't know why I decided to drive around the outside that time. I guess we're going for a good exit, which we do. Battle is for second. I also got to wonder where Parnelli is, because Parnelli is going to be the championship rival right now. Well, not really a rival. He's not I'm not his rival, but he's certainly my rival because he's leading the points. But at least we may be able to break his undefeated streak, despite the fact that he's already up to 4th. Goodness gracious, he is absolutely... Parnelli Jones, he is OP in this season. I think he's already up to 3rd. I looked back there and I saw a blue car in 3rd. Or a white car with blue trim. I guess I'll just call it a blue car because that's what it is. It's the only really bright blue shod car on the entire grid. But yeah, he is definitely in 3rd now. This is similar to Indianapolis, where he was involved in an accident early on. Actually, I should say he's 4th because he's 3rd behind me, though. Involved in an accident really early on in the race with a lap car, in which I was able to get around Parnelli Jones, and they drove right up through the field, passing both me and Templeman. So this is almost an exact replica of that, except for this time I feel I'm much more competitive than I was at Indianapolis. So we've already got 20 laps to go here. This is going to be a lot quicker than the Milwaukee 200. And that race was crazy because I was going so fast that I actually started overtaking the back of the field. I actually drove through a fairly massive accident involving a ton of cars, and somehow I was able to get through there. So this time I'm hoping that we get a little less exciting of a race, at least from the perspective of not having to dodge a big one. Downshift into 3rd. Starting to run some good laps here. We're only in the 115s, but the AI always seem to go slower in traffic anyway. They do kind of seem to struggle with traffic in this game. The AI do. But obviously, once they get free, like if Parnelli Jones gets free of those other 2 cars, he'll probably start closing in, because he's clearly one of the fastest guys in the game, one of the fastest AIs in the game. And it's kind of disappointing too that he has moved up as far as he has in the field, because even if I score the maximum points, which is 10, he's won out throughout the season, won at Trenton and Indianapolis, so 20 points plus I think he'll get around 5 or 6 points for a 4th place, assuming he stays there. And of course, that's a big assumption, and assumptions never lead to anything good in these Let's Plays, but I'm going to make one in this instance. because we're talking big picture here, and obviously doing well at my senpai track here, Milwaukee, is helping me out tremendously with that pursuit. I think we go to Langhorne after this, the big circle. I'm not sure what my pace is going to be there. I may have to upgrade to the 62 Offie engine. Not sure yet, because I kind of feel like it's a handling track like Milwaukee is, and the handling of the Epperle chassis has never been the problem. But unfortunately, it seems like the 61 Offenhauser, obviously from the Indianapolis 500, was thirsty, and this car is not very good on its tires. So I just don't know. I think in the next Indy 500, if I can't talk about that for a while, at the risk of sounding like Eddie Cheever constantly talking about the Indy 500, I thought about this because I was like, okay, so I had to make a stop and no one else did. So essentially what I have to do is, what I'm going to do is get the best possible equipment, and a lot of people in the comments, because I know they've been pining for it, for me to go to the rear engine cars, but I don't think the best car for 63 is going to be the Lotus. I know a lot of people want me to be in the Lotus for 63, but I think I may stay either with an Epperle or I might go with a Watson or something if there's a new front engine car for 63, because I kind of want the straight line speed. Because the thing about as I go really wide there, the thing about the rear engine cars, especially early on, is they really lack the straight line speed, and that's what I'm lacking already with the Epperle, and it's a roadster. So I'm thinking the best way to do this is find the car that gives me the best straight line speed advantage for the run at Indianapolis. Then build a big enough gap to have a pit lane delta to be able to just get in, get the tires changed, and get back out and not lose too much time. So that's going to be my goal for the next Indy 500, is just be the rabbit and just drive as fast as humanly possible in the fastest possible car and just expect to make a pit stop. But that's kind of something that's really great about this game, is in the first Indy 500 you run, despite the fact that I had the best car, I think by far clearly in the 1961 race, is I was inexperienced and I crashed. And then in 62 I thought, well, I'll be conservative, I was the best in the last race, so why would that be a problem? And then I was too conservative. I was back in the field and I ran out of fuel anyway, and I didn't finish the race. So I think that my strategy for 63 is going to be just drive the absolute guff out of the car, get a huge lead, make the one mandatory pit stop, which seems to be what we need to do, get the fuel in the car, get the tires changed, and try to just drive the sucker back up to the front. But that'll be really interesting because it'll be the first time we really have a competitive rear engine car there with the Lotus. So I think it's going to be a much more interesting and competitive race than we saw in the last 2 years. In fact, I'm excited for the 1963 season. In fact, I'm more excited for 64 and 65. I think those are going to be the most fun years because of the variety of equipment between the front engine and rear engine stuff. And that's going to be really when the choice I'm going to have to make is, do I want to go rear engined or do I want to go front engine? I'm also considering doing a challenge in this game on a different account, so I don't screw up my own career mode. But see how late in the career mode you can qualify the Roadster at Indy. Not like on the pole, but like get it in the Indy 500. How late you can do it. I think that would be pretty interesting. Like, what is the threshold for being able to qualify? So we're coming up behind Mills here. Just kind of a leisurely drive for me at Milwaukee. And we'll pass him fairly easily. Parnelli's up to third. So in all that time I was talking, Templeman lost the position to Jones. Apparently Templeman's a fast qualifier, but he's not a very fast racing driver. It's kind of unfortunate for my prospects for this season. Seems like 62 is going to be a bit of a wash. I mean, if I win out, I just have to keep... This is kind of a Rosberg and Hamilton situation. Parnelli's kind of been Nico Rosberg, and I'm kind of Lewis Hamilton right now. I think I will be Lewis Hamilton for the second half of the season, just winning out. But the problem is that I didn't score many points in the beginning of the season, and Parnelli, all he has to do is stay second or third or whatever. All he has to do is keep me in sight, and he won't have to worry about me catching him for the championship. I swear, you may have noticed the game got shady. This game has dynamic weather in the fact that it does get shady on the track. It gets shady and it gets sunny. It's pretty awesome. I still like this. I really love this game, by the way. I mean, of course, if you've watched 11 parts of the series, you probably love it too, or you're just interested in it. And if you do have the opportunity, definitely go buy it, because it's a lot of fun. It's way more fun than a lot of people would give you the impression it is, and nobody knows about it. That's the other thing. It just shocks me. If YouTube had been like it is now, back in 2009 when this game came out, and there had been people like me to play it, I think it would have been much more successful. And the developer probably wouldn't have shut down, and we might have a sequel to this game, or at least a remastered version of it. But unfortunately, game came along at just the wrong time, just barely the wrong time too, because I think this came out in 2009, and it just came out right before the big video game video boom of YouTube. Because if you look on the other videos that featured this game, they had a ton of views, so people were obviously interested in it. But we'll never know. So into third gear, coming up to whoever this is at the back of the field. We're 10 seconds ahead of Bobby Grimm, who has managed to hold on to second place, thankfully, over Parnelli. We'll see if he can actually hold him off for the rest of the race. I'm not holding my breath on that one. But it's Bob Christie, who is a real-life driver. There's always one fake driver that qualifies for Milwaukee. I think it's just so they give you some lap traffic to deal with. But I run so fast in Milwaukee that I always catch the real-life drivers too. And we're coming up to 2 laps to go. We'll be lapping another car here in just a second. Whoever that is. And we'll see in just a moment. And up in fourth. Nobody behind me except for the lapper of Christie. This has been a nice race. A very calming race. Race ASMR, I guess, because I really just talked over the car just going around the track.
It's the final
and
lap.
We're down to the last lap. See if I can get up there and lap this guy. Whoever it is, looks like an Epperly. Is that Marshman? What on earth is he doing back there? This is one of the guys I was racing with in the Indianapolis 500. I think it is Marshman, but I'm not going to catch him. But I'll take the victory at Milwaukee. 10 points to me.
Takes the checkered flag.
So the race results are in. I won the race.
18
My
makes
best
a pit
lap
stop.
was, what, 4/10 faster than the
Car
second place car.
19 makes a pit stop.
Grimm, Jones, Templeman, Ward,
Car
Hulse,
number 4
Davis,
is
Hurtubise,
smoking. Car
all
number 9 makes a
and they
pit
had a
stop.
crash coming into the pits.
Car number
But
12 makes a pit
yeah,
stop.
fantastic. Very happy to take the win there. Let's take a look at
Car
how the
number
points stack up.
54
We know
makes a
Jones
pit
is going to be
stop.
at 26, so we're at 10. We'll see where we stack up with the rest of the field. So as you can see, I've moved up to 5th place in the championship. Parnelli Jones is still the leader at 26 points. Templeman's at 17, Hulse is at 15, Grimm is at 14, but we are ahead of Roger Ward, Don Brenton, Jim Rathman, Len Sutton, Jim McElreath, Don Davis, Bobby Marshman, and Jim Hurtubise. 13 drivers have scored championship points, and like I said earlier in the video, we're on to Langhorne, the dangerous circle for the next race. I'm hoping that I can capitalize on another win and close in on Parnelli Jones' massive championship lead. So we hope to see you in that video. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube, and we'll see you at Langhorne.